It's all for you. Yeah, yo. There whenever it matters, and even more when you feel like it doesn't. Protect you so you never feel like you wasn't. Know I'm right alongside you. Either that or I'm behind you, but always got you. End of discussion, nothing means more. First one to offer is shoulders for what you reach for. Thought I saw the eyes of the world until I seen yours. And know that I ain't see a better view yet. I'm with whatever, so don't ever you fret. Know that you covered, not a hurdle or a heartbreak. A change what a partake, cause none of them won't ever get comfortable in your walkway. My job is to aware you, fully loaded, prepare you for all of the above that I'm never letting get near you. But still in all, give you every advantage I found. Couldn't find a better fit for them, along with my crown. And since the baton was passed, I've been down. Cause failing's not an option, and dad is not a noun, not at all.
You just got kicked in the gut. Punch in the face.
Customize your hero using color, element, and totem. Flip your action cards to determine the winner.
Yes! It's my turn now.
Collect, trade, battle, and win. A new fighting card game has arrived. Play VT Heroes.
1, 2. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Ishmael from Dad Is Not a Noun. Dad Is Not a Noun is a social media platform dedicated in changing the narrative for men of color and fatherhood. And I have a special guest today. He's an awesome father, husband, entrepreneur. He just awesome brother, man. I'm a blur and it's just I'm truly humbled to have this brother on. His name is Jason Richardson. He is the creator of VT Heroes, is a Toko themed deck building fighting game. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
What's going on? Yeah, listen, that's always confusing to people when they see it. They're like,
oh, no, it's not that. It's just, I do have growing up, I had a bad stuttering problem when I was little. And so as I got out of my stuttering problem, I still have it a little bit because I want to choose my words right. And so sometimes I'll start.
No, you don't even need to have one, brother. I'm telling you, as someone who has been in this industry long enough, I know so many people who have tripped up on stuff. And we're talking about professional voice actors, all that stuff. Like, I trip up on some of this stuff too. Like, and it's my game. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, it's about this thing.
I appreciate that, man. But yeah, thank you for jumping on with me. How are you doing? How's the family? House life in COVID world?
Family's doing well. My 10-month-old son, he is happy and giggling and pooping like crazy. He's awesome. Little Jonathan Parker is doing all right. Have you noticed the Parker thing is a running theme in this family? Yeah, we a Spider-Man household. I mean, it's mostly me though. I mean, I drew that and this piece right here for Sony Pictures. But remember Spider-Man 2?
Yeah.
I did it for their website. I did that piece for their website. Wow. That was back in 2002, 2001.
Wow. That's dope, man. And that's the cool thing about it. A family that can laugh together stays together. And I think that's important philosophy when it comes to family. But tell me a little bit about your story. Tell me a little bit about your background and how did you get into Toku?
Oh, well, I mean, I've always been into a lot of stuff like animation, anime, gaming. I started making games at 12. I'm a lot older than most people think because, black don't crack. So when I was younger, computers had one color, green. And there was no such thing as graphics, really. So I was making computer games on what is known as the Apple IIe.
You went way back.
Yeah. I was obsessed with Nintendo, and I learned BASIC. I learned the programming BASIC And from there, I started making my own games. I wanted to be like Nintendo so bad. So I started making not just one type of game. I made sports games. I made all these different games. I learned the basics of coding through basic. And then I was like, if I change this, can it make it do this? Oh, that dot went across the screen like a football. Can I make a football game? And then I'm making football games. I made fighting games. I've made, all kinds of games, RPGs, all that stuff. And I kind of dropped that for a while because, before I even got to high school, I started making a magazine because I was obsessed with Nintendo that much. They came out with this new magazine. See, this shows how old I am. I was there when the NES first came out and they first introduced Mario. I was like, yo, this is amazing.
Dude,
and then
I'm like probably almost your age. I'm 41, so I'm
you're right there. I'm 46.
I'm there with you.
You know. And so when that happened, my mind was like opened up, like seeing Legend of Zelda on the gold cartridge and all that stuff. Just all these games, Mega Man, all this stuff was blowing my mind. But then they put out this Nintendo Power.
Yes.
And it had showed you the map of how the world was made and this and all this stuff. Had comic books inside, like comic strips inside. And I was like, I want to do that too. So I started making all these games and I made a magazine that had tips and tricks. Then I was selling this stuff to people in the neighborhood and teachers. I would have people sign up for a $5 a month subscription for my magazine. I was a hustler, as a kid, my hustle game was strong. I was like, I'm gonna start a business. So this has been something in the making. I mean, I've been doing this stuff since I was a kid. And then high school, I started developing card games because we couldn't afford computers because that computer died and got old and all that stuff. And we're not a wealthy family growing up. So what I ended up doing was everything I learned from making computer games and things I learned from the few video games that I had. And I still had the subscription, so I was reading the magazines and all that stuff.
Well, what about? Remember they had that hotline. So instead of
the Nintendo hotline.
But I'm saying you had that entrepreneur spirit. He's like, yo, you don't need that hotline. Just holler at me. I got you. Just
I was the hotline. So, but yeah, I started doing that, and but one of the things was because I didn't have the technology available, I found a way around it. So I started making games that play like video games, but were made out of cardboard, wood, paper, all that. So I started making board games because back then the only board games you had Dungeons and Dragons, the book, but you didn't have you had Monopoly, you had Parcheesi, you didn't have board games where it was adventures and stuff like that. So I was like, why don't we make that? Why don't I make this stuff? So even as a teenager, I started making card games where you would fight as ninjas and do all this stuff. And I wanted to take every video game I saw. I wanted to see if I could make a version of that game that didn't require electricity.
Wow.
So I started making RPGs where it was this big cloth map that I drew out, and you had cards with characters and you had to travel, and it could be multiple people playing at the same time with their own party. So I made an MMO.
That's dope.
It was
that's genius.
It's an MMO on paper, on cloth. So yeah, and it just kept going and going. And the toku thing, I mean, I've always been into Japanese culture. The way I was brought up, there was a lot of that, I guess cross culture stuff going on. Family is Jamaican, and through that there was a lot of connections to Japanese culture and stuff like that. And then I was blessed enough to go to schools where my friends we looked like the Planeteers. It was there was black kid, there was Japanese kid, there was the Indian kid, there was, and we shared cultures and all that stuff. But growing up, my family, my mom worked at the University of Penn bookstore, Back before it was the big giant bookstore that it is in Philadelphia, it was this tiny little closet underneath a bridge, legit under a bridge. And I ended up, reading a lot of books. I was into absorbing knowledge. So I absorbed stuff about all the different cultures, all this stuff. So I learned about manga before manga was a common thing here, and like seeing all that stuff. Then I worked in importing stores where we imported Japanese like games and Japanese, animation over back on VHS.
They don't know about that.
They don't know about that. They don't know about that struggle, boy.
No, they know about streaming, but no, VJ.
Streaming is so sweet, man. I remember having to pay $30-$40 for 2 episodes.
Yes.
On a VHS tape.
Yes.
And you'd be lucky if you got it in, if you wanted it in dub, you hope you got it in dub. If you wanted it in sub, you hope you got it.
They don't know how good they got it now.
Yo, just get up in the morning and be like on your phone, be like, what anime am I gonna watch?
It's great. But going back to the ingenuity and innovation, I think we're kind of related because me and my friends, we created our own board game back in the days too, because we were into wrestling. And so we created our own wrestling board game where we had a dice. And if you rolled a certain number, you would do a certain move.
I had a wrestling game. Mine was card based, but like it was.
And it was so cool because what we did was we made fake belts. What we did was we got paper bags, cut it, and then got aluminum foil with cardboard and made our own belts. So going back to being young and creative, man.
What you were creating was like your own tournaments.
Yes, we did.
That was before esports. There was that. It was the neighborhood tournaments.
Yes.
And those were the trophies, baby. Those were the trophies. Like that's what it was. Look, I know what that's like. You don't think we had a tournament here at the house right before when we had the baby shower? I had some LA people come over. I had some cats, all from all different walks of life. Some were wrestlers came over while the missus is upstairs up there talking about the baby coming soon. Everybody's playing little baby games. We down here play testing. The game had a whole tournament.
But you know how serious we were about that gaming? Because remember the Pile Driver album?
Yo, listen. Did y'all have entrance music? Did y'all do entrance music? Wait a second.
What we used to do was we would play certain songs off the album as an intro.
I knew it. That's what I'm saying. I was like, where's he going with this? I was like, he probably did the same dumb stuff I did, like have entrance music when your homies came in. You'd be like, you had like different Busta music playing, like you had all. Yeah. But I read right through that, like.
But it was fun, and it was just being kids, and we all our friends got together, and it was our thing because we created it, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, and it's a shame that maybe now you should think about making it a thing. I could point you in the right direction.
Okay, all right.
We could talk this out.
Definitely behind the scenes, we'll make it happen. Yeah. But yeah, going back to what being able to get those resources to be inspired by Japan culture, because it's interesting. Because when you go back to the history of it, Godzilla was inspired by King Kong.
Yo, see,
yes.
Y'all see this right here?
I see it. Here? Yes.
If it wasn't for this Japanese live action Spider-Man show, which was, I have it, I own it. If it wasn't for that, shows like Power Rangers wouldn't exist.
Facts.
And people don't even, they're like, what do you mean? Y'all, no, look it up. Like, that is the reason why Power Rangers popped off. They was like, that's a cool idea. Next thing you know, they was like, how about we make 5 of them?
Mm-hmm. And that goes back to VT Heroes. Because, another part of that culture is the transforming heroes. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit? Because it's a little bit element to the game, right?
Yeah, like story wise, it is more
Right.
so than in the game.
Right.
In the game, you build your character based on color, element, and totem, which means like spirit animal. But in the story, like the graphic novel that's in the works now, we're in pre-production with it. It's the Matrix
Mm,
meets Street Fighter
nice.
with a Power Ranger skin.
Mm,
So people are logging into, instead of just transforming in the real world like how a lot of these shows were, like Kamen Rider, Power Rangers, all that stuff. This fit, VR Troopers was more along those lines a little bit. Tron fits around that whole thing. Ready Player One, like this is in the story, VT Heroes is a popular virtual video game,
mm,
and the story revolves around these 9 players who log in, and when they log in, they become these VT heroes, and they battle one-on-one, like a fighting tournament, and they want to win the big prize of millions of dollars and fame and all that stuff. And the story revolves around why they are in the tournament in the first place.
mm.
So there is that slight transformation thing, because the people that you see, how do I describe this? Remember the James Cameron's Avatar,
I do. Yes, I do. Mhm.
and you see how the male protagonist, was in a wheelchair, but
Yes.
then when he logged in, he didn't need a wheelchair. He was also
Right.
a giant blue cat. That was a transformation.
Yep.
In VT Heroes, just because the character you see in that suit is male doesn't mean it's operated by a male character. Like VT Blue, which is our main mascot, character that's up there in the middle there, is actually a little girl.
Mm.
But when she logs in, she's a male character. It's just like if you played an actual video game. If you play Street Fighter and you only play as Chun-Li. We made a virtual game of it, I doubt it would turn you into Chun-Li. You would just be you inside of Chun-Li's like frame and the construct of what she is. So that gives people that it helps with identity issues, because there's a lot of characters that are male, but when they log in, they're female and vice versa, and everything in between. The other thing is we have characters like I break a lot of gender norms,
Right.
or tropes, without being all preachy about it, because I don't want it to be all preachy and like, look how woke I am. No.
No. It should
I
be
just wanted
settled.
to do something different, and I thought it'd be cool to break the mold. I like stepping outside the box.
And I think you do with this, because the next question I was going to ask you is, I'm a big champion for diversity and inclusion. I think when I think of diversity, I think of, you can have black people in it, but it's not its true intent. Like, for example, one movie like Shazam, like, you had Shaq play the main character, and that was a terrible movie,
Oh
Um,
yeah.
you know what I mean? And then you have like, the movie like Black Panther, where you have a cast and you get this great product. The one thing I like about this is that it's based on inclusion. Again, when you were talking about, anyone can pick up this game and you can be that character. So can you kind of talk about that a little bit? I know you talked about it a little bit. Can you kind of give me a little bit more insight about that, about the card game, about that element of it?
Yeah, definitely. One of the things is, like we talked about, how some of the roles are like, some of the characters may look male on the outside, but like when they log off, it's actually like a female character, and vice versa, and all in between. One of the things I did was like it's 9 characters, so I tried to split it in half. Obviously, you can only do 4 or 5, but I did that with the male-female character lineup. Usually in shows that follow the sentai or toku scene, you have 1, maybe 2. But if it's 2, that team has to be at least 5 or 7 like team members before they add it to 2. 3 to 5, you get 1 female character.
Yeah.
I was like, no, everybody can catch hands. Like, like, like I want everybody to get beat up. So like, there's 4 female constructs and 5 male constructs. The other thing is that I wanted to show, because I run conventions and stuff like that, and I've seen how people treat cosplayers who aren't the perfect body type, how they treat them terribly on there. And I go out of my way to have like different body types as cosplay guests. When some cons are like, nope, you have to be like this big boob supermodel thing. And I'm like, look, ain't nobody mad at it, but there's more than that out there. So what I've done is like, I've had, petite to plus size, like cosplayers, black to white, everything in between. Like, I want to show that there's more than just one demographic that enjoys this fandom. Right. And with this, I've done that by one, even making the red, green, and black, which are usually male characters in most Sentai.
Yeah. I
made them women. And the red one, especially, is a plus size one. She a thick girl, and like I've been getting a lot of high fives from everybody, really, for making a thick ranger. But like a lot of people have definitely been like really hype about that, and then the purple one is a very petite female character. Like, she doesn't really have a lot of hips and all that stuff. And I've gotten a lot of messages from women who suffered from eating disorders.
Wow.
Who said that this is the first time they've ever felt seen.
Wow. Because
whenever they do body positivity campaigns and stuff like that, it only focuses on plus size.
Very true.
And like, so I guess I'm starting a trend. I don't know. Like, and then we got a brother too. We got a husky ranger bull. Like, he's not really
love, man.
Yeah, right. VT Gray is one of our heroes, and he has a belly on him. He ain't like ripped all the way through. He got some weight on him, but he's not a chump.
Right.
And then also Pink. Our pink one is a guy. Matter of fact, our pink one is a super muscular guy. They're about the same frame as VT White.
Cameron made Pink look cool back in the days. Remember when he used to wear the pink mink?
Yo, remember back? Look. I know. You know what? I blame Power Rangers, because Power Rangers is the reason why Pink became like associated with just girls, because that show was so influential and so powerful.
Yes.
You wanted to be a ranger, like everybody. We were looking at each other like, we know we the Black Ranger,
right? Like,
we knew. If you had that mix of friends, you knew darn well you weren't gonna be red. Like, nope. I'll be black. You lucky he cool. Like,
right? But it's crazy how like those shows were like fun when you were younger, but those shows kind of put out those stereotypes about every group. Like, as an adult looking past, and you look at it, like, you see the Black Ranger, he's just this dude that dances and like, you know what I mean?
But I mean, we dance.
We do dance.
We know how to dance well. I mean,
but there's some brothers that can't dance. So
there are some brothers that can't dance. Right? That's true. But overall, as a stereotype, we have we hold down a good dance. Like, listen, I don't mind that they play on these stereotypes. It wasn't a bad thing, because Zach was awesome. I mean, real talk. He would pop and lock and then kick
punch somebody in the face.
Right. Yo, that hip hop keto was the jam. Listen, I was for it.
Well, he was serving people before you got served. Real
Right.
talk.
And he really did do it too, because he would serve them with some dance food. He like, and then just beat you up. And then you be like, what happened? Why he kicked me though?
Right.
I was enjoying
He was just on dance.
Yeah, right? Like, and everybody had a thing for the Pink Ranger. I'm just gonna put it down.
I had a crush on the Yellow Ranger. I ain't gonna front. I thought she
I
was
like
cute.
that pink, man.
She was like the quiet type, and I like the quiet type. That's me.
I was like, she was doing all them gymnastics and all that. I was like, bruh. I think I can't even I was gonna say that was the first time I noticed non-melanated posterior and go, huh, not bad.
I would say her, and then I would say Topanga from Boy Meet World.
But she always came off as she was like she was mixed with something. So I knew that was popping off.
And then I'm trying to think.
Wendy
Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell. What's her name? The chick for Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, Kelly.
Yes.
Yeah. That's when I realized I was like, I love everyone. Like, I have no prejudice.
I do not. I will not discriminate. No.
Yeah. I was like, I can't discriminate now. The Pink Ranger.
But by doing that, have you got any pushback from those hardcore OGs when it comes to that world?
Surprisingly, the complete opposite. People have shown nothing but love because they think it's so cool that I'm doing these like things to break the norms. Like they're like, yo, that's so cool that your pink one is like ripped. Like, he's like this ripped dude. And they're like, that's kind of banging. And apparently there's this cosplayer out there who's like a bodybuilder who's also a pink. He likes cosplaying as a Pink Ranger.
That's awesome.
And somebody had tagged him in one of the posts and was like, is this supposed to be you? And so we already have our lineup of actors and stuff like that for this series. Awesome. But who knows? We might. Hey, what you up to?
I'm nothing. Just podcasting work.
You're like, you want to be a superhero? Because we're going to be shooting commercials. Oh, there is a live action commercial. There was the first one I made.
I saw that on YouTube. That was fire. I love that. I love the Big Brother.
See, a lot of people was like, yo, so many girls are like,
can I get his number?
That great one though. What's up with him? I like that. Like, I'm like, easy women, easy.
Right. Can you keep that helmet on?
Keep the boots and the helmet on.
Right. But going back to the game, man, talk about, I love the idea of problem solving. I think that's important, especially when it comes to education and innovation. When it comes to games, is that element, especially you being a father, and I know he's, still little, can kind of talk about that. I think that's the most important thing of that game is that. Can you talk about that, the card game? Talk about that.
Yeah, like it's the original. I mean, you want to cut down to the root, it's rock, paper, scissors. But then I took that and expanded upon it so that it has more of a feel like an arcade fighting game. But you have to sit there and there's simple math in it because like I wanted it so that younger ages can get into the game without it being a strain on their brain. Like sometimes I look at some of the games out there like Yu-Gi-Oh and all that stuff. They start with like 4,000 points and then they always take weird numbers like, 217. You like, all right, how much is that really? Because you know how we get with like once you become even when you're an adult, you're like,
yeah,
17 minus take carry to 1. Like, yeah. But like, I was like, no, 25 life points. Things take 1, 2, 3, whatever the number is, but we ain't going crazy with it. But it does help children with, there's some multiplication, definitely, adding, subtracting, like they learn addition and subtraction, like quickly. They also teaches them to work with ratios, because when you build your hero, you're only allowed 10 battle points. And within those 3 cards of creating your hero, you have like the hero, which is whatever color it is, like VT blue. Lightning, is your element. Like I use that one at Wolf, because those 3 cards, it's like 4, 3, 3, which makes 10. You have to start the game with a setup that allows 10 battle points. So that affects how you play as well, because each one of those numbers represents your levels of what level card you can use. So you have to think ahead of, like, how do I play? Do I use more attack? Am I a person that would want to use more defense? Am I a person that wants to use more specials? Like, how do I play as a person? And it makes you look into yourself like, I'm not that aggressive. So maybe I should, do this. And then you have to kind of like outwit your opponent, because you both play a card face down. And that's where the rock, paper, scissors aspect is. It's like, but instead of just 3 options, you have 4 options. So, and then on top of that, you have the level numbers on the card too. So we could both play an attack card, but if I have a higher level, my card beats yours. But you're like, do you want to waste that? Because he might, like, you can do stuff like you can put cards in play. We call it the in-play cards, where it can affect your opponent, where you can't use attack cards. So now that I know you can't use attack cards, I can play all my cards that usually get beat by attack cards. I can now play them. But I have to make sure he's not expecting me to play those cards, so I have to try and fake them out. So it's a lot of like, it's like chess. It's like, but very fast paced. And it does teach, like you were talking about, the problem solving. I've watched little kids like ages like 6 and like 6 to 10 go like, yeah, no, I know if you try, I can't do that. So I know you're gonna try and do this move. I'll start that move, and you're like, yeah, you're right. Like that's wow, that's some good problem solving. Like
seriously, no, it's facts. And I think the one good thing about this game is that what you're telling me, it also helps with people skills, how to interact with people, like knowing the room.
Yeah,
like certain ways you act with certain people is not how you act with other people too.
And it is a great way for people to communicate with each other, because there's rules that are on the cards. So sometimes you have to read the rules and you're like, oh man, I need to do this. And the other person's like, oh man, like you're seeing, there's like it's not just an empty card play. There's interaction, because you can use cards to harm your opponent or help yourself. And like, it's you look at your opponent and you think about stuff like that. You're like, do I want to focus on helping me or hurting him? Or like, do I try and do a little mix of both? And like, and I don't know. I've seen so many people who play tested it. They seem to like get along and like joke with each other. They have fun. That's what it is. That's what I'm looking for. They're having fun.
And I think that's the most important thing, is having fun, especially in this COVID world. It's a way to bring family together. Will there be like an app game version of this?
Yeah, maybe? There is a possibility. There's talks. there's actually talks. I'm trying to get as many people. One of the things is getting enough supporters towards the game. Like the Kickstarter did great, far beyond what I expected, like far beyond. I only needed $500. 500. I set the goal for 500 because all I wanted was enough copies to send to different review companies and all that stuff to like and send them off to like certain people and like they do a review. All right, cool. So like $10,000+ later, like I was like, okay, like wow.
Because that's the one thing is I'm a strong believer is that if you build it, they'll come. And
Yeah.
especially, with your energy and your fire and your dedication to inclusion, it was no brainer for people to support it. You know what I mean? I know you're being humble about it, but I know when you were in the lab putting together, you're like, you know what? This shit is gonna be fire. People gonna like this shit.
I mean, like, I was loving it, and like you love your projects. I've worked on tons of different comics. I've worked on games. I've worked on all different TV shows, all that stuff. You love your project, but you also have to be real with yourself. You be like, I may love it, but everybody else might hate this thing. So like, that's why I set the bar mad low, because I was like, I don't know how this is gonna turn out. I'm gonna do my best to make it look sharp though, but I didn't know it was gonna be $10,000. Like, just imagine asking somebody, can I get $500? And they're like, how about 10?
What?
I'm like, who am I killing? Like, you mad at your wife? Like,
I know, right?
So yeah, like it's been going well. One, that Kickstarter money goes fast because most of it goes right back into production. Yep. Let me tell you how hype I was when I saw them zeros land in my bank account. And I was like, oh yeah, boy, we about to have a cookout every day. Then Kickstarter was like, oh, wait, ooh, my bad. Let me take 10%. Yep. I was like, wait, what? Hold up. Whoa, 10%? What? And they was
what
like,
about those people that didn't have money on their card?
Bruh. So I didn't know that was a thing until it happened to me. And like a couple of the people's little red triangles came up like, broop, 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 broop. I was like, what is that?
And you had to be a bill collector, like, yo,
my money. I really did. Yo, it was so bad. I had to run up on my man's, and my man's, he's a supporter. He was ride or die. He was like, I think he was changing banks or something like that when it happened, and like it just didn't go his way. I had to come to his job. I was hitting him up. I was like, yo, this thing ain't letting me get the money because like something went wrong with your card. There's an error. He's like, oh man. I'm like, listen, bro.
See what happened, bro?
Well, right. And then he was like, just come by the job. Just come by the job. I was like, all right. But it just felt weird coming by the job like, where my money though? I felt like Stewie coming up on Brian like, where my money, man?
Like I'm just saying, comments and like don't pay the bills, dude. Where my money?
I was like, come on, bro. And like, but no, everybody was pretty much cool. Everything generally worked out. A lot of the money, more than like, no, I don't say half, almost half of the money went into production because I had to make copies of the game, and then people got the helmet. Yeah. This is actually a prototype. This is a little beat up. This is the prototype from the live action commercial.
Dope. That's dope.
We're gonna talk about that in a second because that was a moment. That was a moment. I almost got emotional. But then people bought extra packs.
Nice.
Because when you buy, this is just a starter deck.
Yes.
And you can do a random. If you're using just one deck to play against somebody, you just randomize the deck, shell out 40, and just play. But if you know somebody who got their own deck, you can customize your 40 cards to know exactly what you want. And then some people buy extra packs so that they can have doubles of certain cards that they really like using. Mind you, we also have play mats.
Nice. I love it.
They got play mats.
I
So
love
that they can like play the game, you know.
I love the detail in the mats. That's dope.
And it even tells you where the cards go, like your action deck, there's like the discard pile. The 3 at the bottom are your stats where you build your hero. And then the top is the in-play cards. Those are the special cards that you can use to upgrade yourself or downgrade your opponent.
Nice.
And we even have one that's different art on there.
I love it. It's a game mat. It's not a bath mat, everybody, just to let you know. Because someone out there is probably like, oh, I don't have a bath mat, so I'm going to use it as a bath mat. No, it's for a game.
I wonder if you could use it as a bath mat. I think it's water. It's water.
It is? Well. Okay, let me.
But if you go to the link tree, we do have stuff like shower curtains, duvet covers, and such in our merch area.
Word?
What do you think? I got this awesome cup.
Oh my God, man! You animal, you freaking genius.
Travel mugs. Yeah, everything. Hey, you want to buy you can collect these mini helmets. Look, got a full bottom, hand painted by the creator of the game.
That is awesome. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? Oh,
I know, right? Actually, what's next is a thing for me. I did make this one though. There's a special Spider-Man.
I like that.
BT Heroes for myself.
That's dope.
Can't
sell it. Telling that that's his.
That's mine. That's mine. Actually, right now I had a custom 12-inch action figure made.
Oh wow.
It's in production now, so I don't know. It's gonna be more of those super expensive collector ones where it costs like $150, $200, but it's like fabric. Like it's actually wearing spandex.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like it's actually gonna have spandex and like a helmet and like it has like a gun and a sword from the game.
Right. Wow, that's dope.
So
that is dope.
I'm gonna tell you, bruh, this has been crazy. Like I've had awesome successes with conventions, my comics. Right. I'm in the Encyclopedia of Black Comics. Like that is dope. Like at that point, you're in the history books. You're in the encyclopedia. Right. Can't nobody tell you that.
Facts.
Thanks to Dr. Sheena Howard for putting me in there, and like that's part of that legacy I was thinking about. Because it's like I'm actually in history with other Black comic creators from the beginnings. Like I'm in the same book as like all these big names.
Yes.
And what? So like I don't know, it's just so much. Like seeing that, having on, I don't know if you saw the Instagram video, I'm gonna send it to you. This is called my Stan Lee moment.
Yeah, send that to me. Yeah, definitely. I want to see that.
The Stan Lee moment. Let me see if you can even guess. As like, think you're a creator and all that stuff. What would be your Stan Lee moment?
My Stan Lee personally, or just
in general? In general, what you think of Stan Lee moment?
When I heard that James Cameron was going to make Spider-Man, but it didn't work out.
See, no, this is what I remember. I remember reading that script too. Like they leaked that script like years ago. Because Nikki Cox from Unhappily Ever After was going to be Mary Jane. Leonardo DiCaprio was penned to be Peter Parker. Yeah, I remember. Listen, you see,
and then James Cameron was supposed to direct. He was supposed to do X-Men, but Stan Lee went to him. He's like, "Yo," he kind of like, "Come on, I want to see you do Spider-Man." And so that's how that Spider-Man came into play, because
I think he would have actually done a good job with Spider-Man.
And in X-Men, Storm was going to be played by Angela Bassett.
Everybody wanted that to happen in the first place. I don't know why they even no offense to Halle Berry, Halle Berry. But
yeah, true that. By Angela Bassett, Tina Turner, dude.
I didn't listen. I grew up watching Tina Turner, and I forgot what Tina Turner looked like because the second I saw Angela Bassett as Tina Turner, that became the new visual in my brain.
And she played the flight attendant in Kindergarten Cop. I'm going way back.
God.
It is not a tumor.
Yeah, that movie. I love that movie.
That
was like the first that was around that and Twins and oh my gosh. But okay, so check it out. Here's my Stan Lee movie. I came up with this phrase, like calling it the Stan Lee moment. It's when you get to see or feel your characters come to life. Because I was like, this is how Stan Lee must have felt when he was on set for Avengers. Because I got to be on set with Kamen Ramen Studios.
Wow.
We do those great Power Ranger, the stunt videos and the martial art and the fight videos and all that stuff. I was in New York, and it was like whispered down the lane that they were going to be there. But I knew them. I knew some of them personally. So I was like, "Yo, I haven't seen you guys in forever. Like, yo, I can't wait to link up with everybody." And then I get there, and they're like, "So we're gonna be doing VT Heroes. We're gonna be doing a fight scene." VT. I was like, "Wait a minute, what?" And with the help of the Paladins of Cosplay, because they put together an event called Lightbenders, a lot of the heads of that are the VT Heroes.
Wow.
So if it wasn't for Law, who's actually the VT Yellow, it was crazy. Like, I drew these characters. I drew this game. You know what I'm saying? I drew this game. Now I'm sitting just watching them fight each other, and I'm like, what? It's like action, and then they're fighting. I'm like, I drew you last week.
Yeah. Wow.
I remember drawing you. Now you're hanging out with me. You know what I mean? Like, Stan Lee had to feel some type of way when he was on the set of, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, because that's his favorite character. He loves Spider-Man. And seeing Spider-Man swing by and stuff like that, just seeing all that stuff,
it's like you made it moment, you would say.
Yeah.
You made it, and something that even though you're being humble, but I know in the beginning when you put it all together, I know people are gonna love this. This is gonna be fire.
I didn't know. You have to understand. I don't know. I'm such a realist when it comes to the stuff I create.
Right.
I don't know how well it's going to be.
Right.
So I'm just like, I know how to market things. I do know how to market things. So I'm not gonna say I didn't aim for certain things and certain, I know color schemes. I know color theory. I understand graphic design and marketing. I know all those things. I do those things. Those are my jobs throughout my, career outside of drawing and writing. So I know certain key points to aim for, but you still never know if it's going to be a hit. Walking Dead was a comic that's been around for a long time before it's this big hit that people were always talking about, Same thing with The Watchmen. Same thing with a lot of these comic book movies outside, even the Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Avengers was cool and all, but Avengers was not the end all be all from in the comic scene.
No.
Definitely not Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, definitely not.
Absolutely not.
Definitely. I definitely
I
agree
remember
with
when they announced that, I was like,
okay.
they chose them?
Right.
All right. I'm going to have faith. But
hmm
the Guardians, though? I was,
and to be
I was
real,
like,
like,
that's mad obscure. I was like, only like the 6 comic nerds out here in this world are going to be like,
and then like out of nowhere, prime example, Blade with Wesley Snipes, the first Blade, that just came out of nowhere.
that was the
Like
first
people like,
that was the first successful like Marvel movie. And people don't even realize like that is
yeah, a lot of people don't even know that's is a Marvel. But when that film came out, people didn't even know that was a Marvel.
I was
They
hyped because
even
I was
think
like,
they had a Marvel logo in the intro of the movie. I don't think so. Probably like at the end of the credits, but like in the beginning, I don't even think it had like a Marvel intro in the beginning of it.
yeah, I wonder. Because it probably wasn't all fancy like how they are now. Because they're like, we Marvel, baby.
Everywhere, yeah.
Like, we Marvel. Like, look at us.
Right.
But like that movie, I wonder. That's a good point. That's a really good point, bro. Like, I don't think
like at the end of the credits, it's probably like Marvel.
Marvel.
And that's it.
Or if it was in the beginning, it was in plain text, like
Yeah.
on the corner. You know how it'd be like so and so studios would be like
Going back to
Association of Marvel.
going back to the Commodore 64.
Yeah. Just real quick.
Yep.
Keep that pushing.
Yeah, we don't know how I was gonna do. And then they're like, oh yeah. We knew it was gonna be successful. Stop lying. No, you didn't. You didn't have confidence.
Right. That's how I feel. So like when people are like, oh, you knew your stuff was gonna be a hit. I was like, I was hoping. like, but I wasn't like, yeah. No, I didn't do that. I freaked out because like it got funded within what, half an hour?
Wow.
Yeah.
And like I said, when it goes back to it, when you build it, they will come, and they came. Before we end this, man, this was a dope conversation, man. I love this. The ultimate goal with Dad is a Noun is to bring the blurred universe with fatherhood, because I think those should mesh together. It's no brainer. Okay. Can you talk about what does it mean to be in that blurred world, but as well as a father? Because I know you want to bring your child into that world too. Because again, it builds self-esteem, awareness of self, and it builds people skills at the same time. So can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah. One of the things I want is I want to build a legacy for my son to be proud of. I want him to be able to like people talk about like say there's a cartoon of VT Heroes or something or games and stuff like that. They'd be like, "Yo, man, I'm playing VT Heroes." They're like, "My dad made that," and like, and because we know a lot of industry people, I want to use that so that he can learn as much as possible. You know, we're gonna go over to LA and we're gonna go to Cartoon Network because we got pretty much family over there. We got family over at Warner Brothers. I'm like, look, this is what it's like to work in an animation studio. This is what it's like to do voice acting. This is what it's like to work on a TV show. I want to take him and expose him to all these things so that because I want him. I don't say I want to push him where he has no choice, but I want him to know that he can be creative if he wants to. And I really like to see more of that. I mean, to be honest, I've seen it in other cultures, you know, like look at Ron Howard.
Yep.
Ron Howard and his daughter is directing Mandalorian. Like, what? Like, and he was an actor. He was a child actor that went into directing and started making some of the best movies. And then, like, went over and was like, yo, my daughter, here you go. And I want to provide those same type of roads and connections. So, because I spoke at one of the things that was a driving force about this whole dad thing and, like, that really affected me. I speak at a lot of schools. And I spoke at this one school that was a predominantly black school, and it was like a charter or a Catholic school, but they didn't have a lot of funding, and they were like, "Oh, we would love to have you come over, but we don't really have much money and all that stuff." And I was like, "Look, you give me a sandwich, I'm good. Like, I don't worry about me traveling back. I got my ways. I can get back." Um, and I went there, and it was literally a sea of brown.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. And then so I did my presentation. I showed the comics I've worked on, the awards I've won, showed them like my fine wife. Like I was like, she's nerdy too. And like, this, that, the other thing, and like all this cool stuff. Like I showed them my life.
Right.
And the thing that hit me the hardest, and this will always stick with me, after the presentation, I guess one of the teachers was like, "You want to get a picture together with the kids?" I was like, "All right, cool." The entire school jumped into this picture. You really couldn't see me because like we're all dark. It was like mad dark skinned kids with like back and forth, and you just see these. It was just a sea of just these young, bright eyed children that were just like blown away at the fact that I look like them doing the stuff that they wish they could do. And a couple of the kids came over and was like, "Thank you for being here." And they said, "We didn't know we were allowed to even do this stuff."
Wow.
And I was like, what? And it wasn't the teacher's faults or anything. It's literally how they're being told in the streets. Like there's our hood brothers and sisters that's out there still hitting them corners and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, there's that hood mentality that hates the fact to see black folk do stuff that's out of the ghetto mentality.
Yep.
And I love my hood, I love my peoples and all that stuff. But it was definitely tough when it was like, "Hey, I want to make a comic book." And your people in your neighborhood was like, "Oh, you trying to be white?"
Yeah.
Like, but it's not a white thing, though.
No.
Like, we can be game developers. We can be comic book artists. We can be comic book writers. We can be voice actors. We can be movie stars. We can be directors. There's so many things that we can do as a people.
Yeah.
We have talents, like, naturally as a people. We just music alone, we shut it down. Like if it wasn't for us, there wouldn't be a lot of music around.
Seriously, I tell a lot of people about the story of Alexander Dumas. A child from Haiti, right?
Yep.
His father was one of the greatest generals of all time. He creates the Three Musketeers, which I think is based on his three brothers. Because
I didn't know that.
his father sold his three brothers into slavery, so him and his dad can go back to France. So I kind of linked those two together because it kind of makes sense. And then you also have the Count Amaldi Cresco, which was based off his father. And so and so it goes back to the one thing my friend Cole told me: how can you become something if you've never seen it?
And that's what my mom did.
Yeah,
my mom went out of her way. We didn't have a lot of money growing up. Now, I ain't gonna complain about life now, but like back then, like we were poor. We didn't have much. But she would scrounge money together and take me on trips to museums, or she would save up money so that we could go to nice restaurants, or so that I can experience what it's like outside the hood.
Yeah.
And then she, while raising me, she went to University of Penn and went to Wharton, graduated from Wharton, all that stuff, moved on out, balled out. Like, I've seen it. I've seen it. She was an immigrant. You know what I mean? Like she had tons of barriers that should have stopped her from learning. The language barrier, cultural barriers. There's the fact that she is a dark-skinned woman in America, like should have been a barrier. She fought and she, and made sure that, she wasn't going to give up. She wanted to build a legacy for me. And now that's what I'm doing, with the help of my awesome wife. My wife is like my backbone for a lot of this stuff. I mean, I created a lot of stuff on my own. There was a point where I didn't even know if I wanted to keep doing this, and she made, like, she's into nerdy stuff. She ain't into all exactly the same stuff I'm into. We watch our horror and our
stuff. That's a good thing, man.
Right. But like, she'll sit there and watch Power Rangers with me if I'm watching, if we ain't got nothing to do. But like, but there's stuff where it's just like, sometimes she's like, keep going. And I'm like, all right.
Bro. So on that note, I'm gonna leave it like that because I want to, give you some brownie points with your wife. So, how can people find you?
There's too many ways to find me. But right now the focus is VT Heroes on Instagram. We have J1 Studios. That's the overall company that I own that produces VT Heroes. That also is the foundation of J1 Con, which is the J1 Studios convention. It's like anime and video games in Atlantic City, which is just at a standstill right now because of pandemics and all. But you can follow J1 Studios. You can follow VT Heroes. You can follow J1 Con. Right now, though, go to VT Heroes though and check that out because like I got bills. And like that right there will pay the bills faster than buy a game. Everybody say they want to support black business. Here's a black business to support.
There you go. Facts. That's what I try to do here. Is Dad is not a noun. Is tell the narrative of fathers as well as men as entrepreneurs, just to put it out there. Support it.
Yeah.
Not well, but at least it's out there so people know it exists. Because that's the one thing is that they don't know that you exist.
Yeah.
And when they see that, like, oh damn, I didn't know that. Like, yeah. Now you know. Now you have no excuse.
Right now. So
all right, brother. I appreciate you for coming on with me. I had a blast, man. This was
yeah.
hour of gold. This was like an hour of gold, man. I love this, man.
Yeah, I'm here for it, man. Yeah, I was having a blast. We could have kept going for hours. Don't get me started. Like.
I know, man. I'm about to go and make me a sandwich right now.
Well, you said it right the first time. You're making a sandwich. There's a difference between a sandwich and a sandwich.
A sandwich. And yeah, I'm about to do that right now. But again, thank you again, man. And we're out. Peace.